This? Okay.
Good evening. Today is December 10th, 2024. The time is now 7 p.m. Welcome to the San Marino Unified School District Board of Education meeting. Here's our board president, Shelley Ryan.
Thank you, Claude. Good evening. To report out from closed session, we had a conference with legal counsel, existing litigation under Government Code Section 54956.9, subdivision D1 settlement agreement number 9138. Dr. Lena Richter. Did you have to say anything? Okay. Next, we have conference with legal counsel anticipated litigation under Government Code Section 54956.9, subdivision D2, significant exposure to litigation pursuant to Government Code 54956.9, subdivision D2, potential cases, and that was in closed session. Report from closed session. The Board of Education took unanimous action in closed session to approve the settlement agreement for student number 9138. And the vote was aye for Ms. Lamb, aye for Ms. Chong, Ms. Gill, Mr. Chang, and Mrs. Ryan. Now I'd like to open up the regular session. It is 7:02. Let's call to order. I'd like to do roll call. Mrs. Lamb.
Here.
Mrs. Chong.
Here.
Mrs. Gill.
Here.
Mr. Chang.
Here.
Mrs. Ryan. I, student board member, Ms. Ta.
Here.
Thank you. I'd like to turn it over now to Dr. Richter to introduce our student leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance. We'd like to call up, you go ahead.
Thank you, President Ryan. Tonight is my pleasure to introduce our student who will be leading the board in the salute to the flag tonight. This student is not only an amazing Carver pioneer, but he is also the president of the Fall Student Council. So we would like to warmly invite Parker Wong to the podium to lead the board in the flag salute tonight and share a little bit about himself and who he has here with him to support him.
Good evening, Superintendent De La Torre, distinguished board members, and all those in attendance. My name is Parker Wong, and I am a fifth grade pioneer at Carver Elementary. I am honored to stand up here today and talk to you about Carver. Some of the latest happenings at Carver include walking school bus, which is a Carver tradition on Fridays. Instead of going through the pickup drop-off line during walking school bus, Carver kids will start at a designated location in the city and walk to Carver. There is also a shirt design contest in which pioneers will draw a picture illustrating walking school bus. Another one of Carver traditions is the Halloween parade. During the parade, every student gets to walk one lap around the blacktop to show off their costume. Halloween 2024 at Carver was a blast. One of the busiest weeks of the school year is Red Ribbon Week, which takes place in October. Each day, there is a new activity, such as writing a healthy food you could eat on a sticky note, or your favorite exercise on a note and taping it to the bulletin board. In the month of November, Carver enjoyed the book fair. It took place during Parent-Teacher Conference Week. The book fair this year was spectacular. It had many great books, such as Year in Sports 2024 and Diary of the Olympic and Hot Mess and No Brainer. All of these traditions at Carver could never top being student council president. Many students have brought concerns to me as the reigning president. Recently, the food in the cafeteria wasn't what Carver students have desired. When student council told our advisor, Mrs. Travasano, she contacted Mrs. Munira Bengali, who's the head of food services in San Marino Unified. She came to one of our student council meetings. She let the entire student council plan the December lunch menu for all the schools. This was so much fun. We learned about all the different food groups and what it takes to plan an entire menu. And best yet, in honor of the Dodgers winning the World Series, there will be Dodger dogs on the December lunch menu. Yum. Today, as I welcome you to the award-winning San Marino Unified District Board meeting, I would like to pay respect to our country and our flag. Please join us as we recite the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand quietly and respectfully. Please remove all hats and hoods. Face the flag. Put your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, for liberty and justice for all. You may be seated.
Parker, thank you so much for that wonderful presentation. You are exceedingly well spoken and you delivered that speech flawlessly. So thank you so much for telling us all about your experiences at Carver. We have a certificate of appreciation for you. So I'd like you to come up here to the center of the room and we're going to take a photograph with the Board of Education and your principal. And then your parents. So here's your certificate of appreciation to Parker Wong. It says in sincere appreciation for leading the Board of Education in the Pledge of Allegiance at their regularly scheduled meeting held on December 10th, 2024. Thank you so very much. Okay, we have the whole family up here, right? Okay. Congratulations. Good job. So thank you. Well spoken. Oh my gosh, you should be very proud of this young man. We are.
Parker, thank you. Great job, sweetie.
Good job, Parker.
Very good.
All right. Don't know how to follow that, but I will ask for approval of our agenda this evening. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Move to approve.
Thank you, Mrs. Gill. Thank you, Mrs. Lamb. Roll call, Mrs. Lamb,
Aye.
Mrs. Chong,
Aye.
Mrs. Gill,
Aye.
Mr. Chang,
Aye.
Mrs. Ryan, I, and Student Board Member, Ms. Ta.
Aye.
All right, next, approval of the minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the November 12th meeting minutes?
Move to approve the minutes.
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Chong. Thank you, Mr. Chang. Roll call, Mrs. Lamb,
Aye.
Mrs. Chong,
Aye.
Mrs. Gill,
Aye.
Mr. Chang,
Aye.
Mrs. Ryan, I, and Student Board Member, Ms. Tuff.
Aye.
Thank you. Public comment. The Board of Education has adopted Board Policy 9323B to ensure the public's right to be heard in any matters pertaining to the San Marino Unified School District. Persons who wish to provide public comment will have three options to submit public comments. First, they may submit through an online form. As of 3:30 this afternoon, there was no submissions. If there had been a submission, it would have been provided to the board, but not read out in the audience. Request to speak during the meeting via Zoom. Kwok, do we have attendees in the Zoom?
We do not have any attendees on the Zoom.
All right, so request to speak during the meeting via Zoom is not necessary. Request to speak during the meeting in person via the public comment card. Ms. Delatorre, is there any cards?
There are no cards.
There are no cards. Thank you. All right, we have a full house tonight. So this evening, it is my honor and distinct privilege to spotlight tonight on behalf of the Board of Education and Superintendent. I have the distinct pleasure of honoring two incredibly talented, hardworking members of our community. The passage of Measure M with an extraordinary 71% voted approval. It is a monumental achievement for the San Marino Unified School District. It demonstrates not only the overwhelming support for the future of our schools, but also the power of collaboration, of hard work, and unwavering commitment. This success would not have been possible without the exceptional leadership and dedication of two outstanding individuals in our community, Dr. Peter Coe and Mrs. Micah O'Meara. All right, we're gonna embarrass them a little bit more. They have to stand here as I read some more. Yes, I have 6 pages. That's right, 6 pages. All right.
I gotta sit back down for a second.
Okay. So, Dr. Peter Coe and Mrs. Micah O'Meara are the co-chairs of the Measure M campaign. They have worked tirelessly, and their efforts have truly been the cornerstone of this campaign. From organizing, leading fundraising efforts, to canvassing neighborhoods, from delivering compelling speeches to coordinating with team civics, you poured your hearts and souls into ensuring the success of Measure M. Your ability to inspire, to mobilize volunteers, and rally the support of our entire community is nothing short of remarkable. To the Measure M committee, your collective efforts amplified the impact of this campaign. Whether you contribute time, energy, resources, or ideas, you played an integral role in this victory. Thank you for your dedication to a cause that will benefit all our students for generations to come. This resounding accomplishment is a reflection of the trust our community places in the San Marino Unified School District. It also underscores the belief in the importance of providing our students with safe, modern, and well-equipped facilities they need to thrive. To Dr. Coe, Ms. O'Meara, and the entire Measure M committee, we are forever grateful for your leadership and commitment to our schools. Your extraordinary efforts have not only achieved this critical milestone, but have also set the stage for the exciting work ahead. On behalf of the Board of Education, our staff, our students, and the entire San Marino Unified School District, thank you. Thank you. Your work has made a lasting difference, and we look forward to continuing this journey together as we make these vital improvements to our schools. Thank you and congratulations to all on this tremendous accomplishment.
You are so extraordinary in so many ways. And from the bottom of my heart, I want to thank you for all of your hard work. And it's just been an amazing journey. I'm sure you guys are looking forward to the winter break. But we did get some plaques for you because we want to memorialize this. And I just wanted to read it out loud. This is yours, Micah, but you have one that reads the same. And it says, for her dedicated service as the Measure M campaign chairperson, you have made a lasting impact and exemplify the spirit of excellence and leadership in appreciation for your unwavering commitment to SMUSD students. So here you go. Thank you so much.
So, first of all,
I want to thank everyone here. I really think that Mike and I were very, very fortunate in having so many positive, I guess we'll call them headwinds or tailwinds. The incredible team at CIVX. To Lauren, to all the people that canvassed, the incredible access we had to the board and to our administration, anything we needed, they would give us, instantly. You know, we would call and say, hey, we need those photos of the dilapidated facilities for a million different meetings, and they would just come by and drop them off and do all those things. So very fortunate. And then the entire city came together. The Chinese Club, the Rotary Club, the City Club, all the different organizations, literally. It was really an entire.
Our new city council members.
Yes, our new city council members. We talked about measure count. I mean, even more than our own, that shows you what dedicated public servants they were. The schools foundation, of course, that our partnership with the foundation. Yes, the people that threw the garden parties, because they reached a very important demographic. People who were retired and may not have understood, and they're on a fixed income. So people like the Davises, Ruth Walker, the Wicks, others, I can't remember Liz and Dennis Neer, Marla. So all these folks, and then the support of the board, and then of course the incredible Mike for their work. Shout out, of course, to my wife Sylvia. Incredible, like 500 text groups. She really reached out to a community that maybe doesn't vote as often, but really engaged them as well. To the point that they were like asking, why isn't it 100% instead of 71%? Anyways, we have a lot of people to thank. It was really a group effort, and we were very lucky. You know, coming out of COVID, I think people are really positive about the schools, and I think the future is very, very bright.
Thank you to the citizens and voters in San Marino, obviously our team, but thank you San Marino for putting your vote in this and putting all that you have behind our schools.
And then we'll get your committee up there as well.
Yes.
Committee and family. Please. Yeah, it'll be fine. Yeah. I know you're right there. Be grateful to have the council members.
It's time, yes.
You ready?
Is it?
I don't know. I'm gonna announce.
You were on that first picture. I accidentally cut you out on that first picture.
Okay. Great. Next, we are going to have the swearing of the new board members, but before we move to that part of our agenda, I'd like to call on Dr. Linda Torrey to say a few words to thank Mrs. Chon for the 4 years of her service.
Thank you, President Ryan. Good evening. Tonight, I want to take a moment to express our deepest gratitude to Board Member Chon, who has dedicated the past 4 years to serving on the San Marino Unified School District Board of Education. Jane Chon, your commitment to our students, our staff, and community is appreciated. Over the past 4 years, you have been a steadfast advocate for excellence in education. Your leadership has helped guide us through challenges and shaped initiatives that will have a lasting impact on our school district, from addressing the needs of our aging facilities to supporting innovative programs like Mandarin dual language immersion and medical arts. Your contributions have truly enriched the educational experience for all of our students. Your dedication to the betterment of this district will be deeply missed. On behalf of the entire San Marino Unified School District community, thank you for your service and your passion. We wish you all the best in your future endeavors. Let's give Ms. Chon a round of applause to honor her service. Dedication, leadership, and unwavering commitment to the San Marino Unified School District. Your contributions have made a lasting impact on our schools, students, and community. As an esteemed member of the Board of Education, your guidance and vision have been invaluable in shaping a brighter future for our students. Thank you so much. And we're going to take some- Thank you so much. For those of you who know me, you know I never miss an opportunity to say something, so. With your leave, President Ryan, if I may. Let me situate myself here. Thank you so much. Sorry, Francesca. Put that right there. So Hawk, I sent something into you, if you can pull that up. You all right? Oh.
We're having the swearing in of, okay.
Well, I'm gonna ask for, after giving 4 years, I'm gonna ask for 4 minutes. So, Hawk, if you don't
mind. I don't know if you can pull that up. If not, I don't want to spend the time reading it. So what I wanted to talk about was sort of an overview of everything that we've accomplished in the San Marino Unified School District. It's especially impressive because of what we have accomplished in such a short time when one considers the turmoil and the turnover during these years, which just goes to show that sometimes it is just a matter of the right people in the right place at the right time, as each individual contributed their unique skills to further a shared vision. Having worked with more board members than typical during my one term, 8 in the course of 2 years, including Corey, Julie, and Mike, and then Joanna and Francesca, each one brought a unique commitment to student support for which I'm grateful to have seen firsthand, whether that was balancing the budget, including student voice, seeking teacher and parent input, or a fresh perspective. Presidents in particular, though, drove the agenda of the board. NAM was always about the process because the process ensured integrity and that generated stability in the system. And Jeannie stressed the importance of community input through our committees because that engaged the partners on the ground who cared the most. Shelley has always been a staunch believer in the capacity of our excellent staff to execute our programs. And though Joseph was not a president during my term, his commitment to inclusiveness and student opportunities has never wavered. I also want to express appreciation for our staff, including those who have moved on, who modeled for our students the very definition of integrity, tenacity, and cooperation. The staff has sacrificed and prioritized our students in ways that are unfathomable anywhere else. So I wanted to thank my fellow board members and staff for all that has been accomplished these past 4 years. It was not always easy, but the work that has been done is a testament to the enduring spirit of our schools, as our shared vision surpasses any one individual in this SMUSD system. On a personal note, I will say that being a San Marino School Board member is a humbling experience. While it may appear to be a series of fun parades, photo ops, and dinners, the reality of the job is the responsibility of knowing the community is entrusting you with the care of its most precious assets, our children and our schools. In San Marino, that is no small order. As evidenced by the most recent Measure M election, the millions of dollars donated every year to our schools and the thousands of hours spent by our past, present, and future parent volunteers. Bearing this in mind, I have sought to make the board accessible, to serve with an open mind, a clear vision, and a collaborative spirit. And this has not always been easy because so many priorities, good priorities, compete with each other, often in the form of time and money. How much time do you spend on one priority at the expense of another? Which priority is funded and which one is set aside? As a board member, your obligations are to prioritize the district. And I confess, this was not always easy for me. It was a constant endeavor to be discerning, engaged, and patient, to hold up standards for excellent academics while honoring the work of partners to support the arts, athletics, and activities in our schools. There are times when everyone binds together to a singular goal, and when San Marino does this, great things happen, like Measure M. And then there are times when our partners need to shore up our own missions to ensure our children's needs are met, and the delicate ecosystem that makes San Marino schools excellent is in the ebb and flow of those competing priorities, the diverse opinions that are shared, and the volunteers that rise up through these organizations to advocate for their mission. So many have asked me what is next, and I'm not going to lie, my family is very happy my term has ended. And I am also excited to fulfill the role of a parent volunteer, serving in the PTA, being grad night chair, as a new trustee for the foundation. I look forward to representing our parents, working in the best interest of our students, and supporting the missions of those incredible partners. And lastly, I want to thank my family and my friends. Many of you came out tonight who supported me unconditionally these past years. From my first campaign in 2018 until now, I truly could not have done any of this without you standing by my side and lifting me up. And I want to say thank you. So I thank you, San Marino community, for entrusting me with the privilege of serving as a governing board member for the San Marino Unified School District. It's been a privilege and an honor. Thank you. With that, I'm going to,
We're doing swearing in and the annual recognition of the Board of Education. I'd like to turn it now over to Dr. Linda Delatorre to administer the oath of office for Board Member Gill and Board Member Sung. Yes, reception. Yeah. I also need to announce to everybody to please stay. There's a refreshments and reception behind here. So please stay for that. We have to do the swearing, the office first. Not swearing, but yeah, we have to start swearing.
Let's go ahead and get started with Board Member Gill, since this is a return visit for her. All right. So please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Francesca Gill, do solemnly swear that
I, Francesca Hill, do solemnly swear that
I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies,
and support and defend the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies,
foreign and domestic,
foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States of America
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully discharge
and that I will well and faithfully discharge
the duties upon which I am about to enter.
the duties upon I am about to enter.
Okay? That is it, and you are a board member for the next 4 years. Congratulations. I'm so happy you're here. Some. Okay. And repeat after me. I, Joshua Sung,
I, Joshua Song,
do solemnly swear that
do solemnly swear that
I will support and defend the Constitution
I support independent Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution
and the Constitution
of the State of California
of the State of California
against all enemies,
against all enemy,
foreign and domestic,
foreign and domestic.
that I will bear true faith
I will bear true faith
and allegiance
and allegiance
to the Constitution
to the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution
and the Constitution
of the State of
of
California,
the State of California.
that I take this obligation freely
And I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and
and
that I will well and faithfully discharge
I will well and faithfully discharge
the duties upon which
the office of which
I am about to enter.
I'm about to enter.
Okay, you are sworn in. Sir. Congratulations. Yeah.
Oh, I know, they do. I know. You know, it's so funny, it's ours are like.
For 15 minutes. Sorry?
Yes, I love it.
Ready to support independent.
Oh, yeah. I know, right? At all times.
All right, good evening again, and congratulations to our newly appointed board members, Mrs. Francesca Gill and Mr. Joshua Sung. And now, after the formal oath of office, at this time, we have just adjourned for 20 minutes for a reception. It is time now for the election of the 2024-25 officers. At this time, the Board of Education will select a president, a vice president, and clerk to serve for the 2024-25 year. I would like to make the first nomination for president. I'd like Mr. Joseph Chang to be president.
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Gill. I'd like to do roll call. Mr. Sung,
Yeah.
Mrs. Ryan, aye. Mrs. Lamb,
Aye.
Mrs. Gill.
Aye.
Mr. Chang, will you please accept?
I'm already accept.
Okay, no speeches, please, Mr. Chang.
They want to listen.
No, no more speeches. Thank you, Mr. Chang. And then we would like student board member, Ms. Ta. Will you agree with this nomination for Mr. Chang?
Aye.
All right, thank you. All right, do I have any nominations for the vice president?
Yes, I'd like to nominate Francesca Gill.
All right, I'd like to second that. Roll call, please. Mr. Sung,
Aye.
Mrs. Ryan, aye. Mrs. Lamb,
Aye.
Mrs. Gill.
Aye.
Mr. Chang,
Aye.
and student board member, Ms. Ta. All right, congratulations, Mrs. Gill. Next, do I have any nominations for clerk?
Yes. Go ahead.
I'd like to nominate Shelley Ryan as our clerk.
I'd like to second.
Thank you. I am honored to accept. Thank you, Mrs. Lamb and Mrs. Gill. Roll call, please. Mr. Song,
Aye.
Mrs. Ryan, aye. Mrs. Lamb,
Aye.
Mrs. Gill.
Aye.
Mr. Chang,
Aye.
student board member, Ms. Ta. All right, so now the board has elected president for 24-25 school year. That's Mr. Joseph Chang. Our vice president for the next year is Mrs. Francesca Gill, and I will serve as clerk for 2024-25. Congratulations to everyone, and now we would.
Okay, so we need to rotate the.
Move around.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let you sit down.
So Joshua, you were next to the steel and Paul, yeah.
Joseph, take care of this.
Okay.
Yeah. Go ahead.
You, Joshua. Yeah.
So, okay, Joanna will come back. Yeah.
Is there anything else that's yours?
That.
Okay. This is yours, right?
Yeah, that's me. Thank you.
I know. Just so you don't forget who you are.
Yeah. Okay, I think we are ready for tonight the agenda. First of all, I humbly to accept as the board president. So right now, at this time, we will appoint a board committee and a representative for the following position. So this is the agenda. We'll see appoint to the board committee and the board representative. The board will decide on the board appointed committee member and the representative for the following. Okay, the first one is a city liaison. I think traditionally board president and also the VP, right? Yeah. Okay. So anyone have a objection? No? Okay. And then the next is a health benefit committee. As you know, for the 24 year, I'm the one serve for health committee, but I think pretty soon I probably retire. So I have one stay with me, start to learn. So anyone want to be served for second person? Yeah. Joshua, right?
I'll try.
Okay. Okay. And then next LAC committee and on the school district reorganization. Anyone interested to be in this?
Do these all apply? Are we doing, I know we removed some previous.
So last year, the Mrs. Jen Chong is the only one to serve. Is that anyone want to volunteer to serve?
Is everyone looking at me?
Huh?
Okay, I can do it.
Okay. Okay, Mrs. Ryan, I think is the best should for this position.
Agree.
Okay.
Part of 100 times.
And then LAC STA representative,
Okay,
who can serve?
okay.
You?
Mrs. Ryan would love to.
Okay.
I don't even, I don't know, okay.
Experienced in the last stuff arena.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the legislative representative who want to volunteer. Last time also the Mrs. Jen Chong.
Okay, all right, I will take the legislative.
Okay, great, yeah.
Yay.
Yeah, Mrs. Lam take for this position. And then the PTA council representative traditionally is a president and the VP, yeah. So that will be me and Francesca. And then the next one is a safety and awareness committee.
I would like to stay on that committee if possible.
Oh, okay,
Yeah, I'd also like to stay on it with Fran Tresca.
okay.
That would be.
Okay, and then the next one is San Marino School Foundation. Traditionally is president and the VP. Okay, yeah. But if any board member you are interested to the committee, sometimes you can stay in the audience area, yeah, to observe, yeah. That doesn't against to the rule, okay.
No.
With that is that
That's it.
Mrs. Jennifer Territory, you want to repeat who serve for, make sure we don't have a, yeah, go ahead.
City Liaison, I have Mr. Chang and Ms. Gill. Health Benefits Committee, Mr. Chang and Mr. Sung. School District Organization, Ms. Ryan. Laxter Representative, Ms. Ryan. Legislative Representative, Ms. Lam. PTA Council Representative, Mr. Chang and Ms. Gill. Safety and Wellness Committee, Ms. Gill and Ms. Lam. San Marino Schools Foundation, Mr. Chang and Ms. Gill.
Okay, beautiful. Yeah, thank you. So I need have a motion to approve the following the list of a committee member represent. Do I have a,
So moved.
okay, any second? Okay, second. Roll call, Mr. Song,
Aye.
Mrs. Ryan,
Aye.
Mrs. Dam,
Aye.
Mrs. Gear,
Aye.
Mr. Chen, aye. Student board member. Okay, so motion carried. Next, let's go to the D, CSBA nomination. At this time, the Board of Education will nominate a CSBA delegate assembly representative. Do I have a motion to nominate for a CSBA delegate assembly representative?
Would Mr. Sung like to do that? He only has the one.
Yeah. Do you want to do that?
It's not that taxing, I don't think, right?
Okay.
You like to take a position?
Yeah, I mean, if it,
Okay,
I'll
good.
do whatever you ask us to.
Yeah. Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Let's do the roll call. Mrs. Ryan,
Aye.
Mrs. Lam,
Aye.
Mrs. Gear,
Aye.
Mr. Song,
Aye.
Mr. Chen, aye. Stephen Paul.
Aye.
Okay, good. Motion carried. E, compensation for the board member.
We're going to skip that.
Yeah,
Okay.
Defer.
So is that we still need to have a motion to defer or?
No, just acknowledge
Okay.
that you were going to
Yeah.
Back to the
bring
next
it
meeting.
back.
Okay. So for this agenda, we need more time to
To
work.
discuss.
Yeah.
It'll be discussed in open, Mr. Chang, in
Okay.
open session.
Thank you. Okay, let's go to the F, certification of a signature. The Board of Education will now certify signature for board member Mrs. Ryan, Mr. Song, Mrs. Lam, Mrs. Gear, and Mr. Chen. Do I have a motion to approve?
To approve. Second.
Okay, Mrs. Ryan second, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, roll call, Mr. Song,
Aye.
Mrs. Ryan,
Aye.
Mrs. Lam,
Aye.
Mrs. Gear,
Aye.
Mr. Chen, aye. Stephen board member,
Aye.
Mr. Ta.
Aye.
Okay, motion carried. Okay, next is 10, consent section. Do I have a motion to approve the consent section? 10A through the 10G.
I move to approve consent section 10A through G.
Good. Anyone have a second?
Second.
Mrs. Ryan, second. Roll call, Mr. Song,
Aye.
Mrs. Ryan,
Aye.
Mrs. Lam,
Aye.
Mrs. Gear,
Aye.
Mr. Chen, aye. And a student board member, Ms. Pa.
Aye.
Motion carried. Next, 11, communication section. A, communication from the Board of Education. We ask each board member take no more than 2 to 3 minutes to share their communication. Start from Mr. Song.
Oh.
Yeah. I know that you haven't officially attend the school activity, but you can talk about the CSBA conference.
Yeah. So this is my first time that attend the CSBA, and it was like a lot of informations, and it just, and I've been specializing in a lot of AI sections in there just because I have the IT background and the accounting background. And it was very interesting. A lot of people, they try to set up the idea that what AI is going to impact us, but on consensus, they say we should start to figure out the regulations. I guess that's what everybody agree on. So I think at some point, I recommend that we should probably have the AI committees among the board as well, and kind of talk about it. I mean, I know it can be a little bit too early, but this is my idea.
Okay.
But I'm not ready to share the detail yet. So that's all my thought, and I'm so excited. Thank you so much. I mean, I know this board has been wonderful, and everybody has been wonderful in cabinet as well. And even student board, I appreciate it. And I'm happy to be in the team, and I'll try to learn myself.
Thank you.
Best.
Okay, next, Mrs. Ryan.
Yes, I just want to present or share a couple of things with CSBA this year. There was a lot of excitement around because we are fully out of COVID now. A lot of excitement, a lot of bonds passed this past election. And so a lot of the conference offerings were around the bond and then the committee oversights for the bonds. Other than that, I worked a little bit on my Asian Pacific Islanders School Board Members Association and also attended a retreat and worked on a number of initiatives regarding health and wellness. Next.
Thank you.
Oh, Mrs. Lam.
Mrs. Lam.
Yes, thank you. I hope everyone had a great break. I don't have anything special to report, but happy to continue to serve on this board with our newly elected board member and Francesca, who's continuing. Thank you.
Thank you for your service. Next, Mrs. Gear.
Thank you. I am so honored to continue to serve, and I just love this district so much, and I really take the weight of that responsibility seriously. For CSBA, I was in a few different workshops, and one brought to mind something that we can do as a board that I'd like to explore this year about becoming even more highly effective and looking at our board policies and the agreements we make with each other and working collaboratively. I think that we have a really great working relationship now, and it's just, I think with any relationship, you put the work in and it just gets better and better. So thank you.
Thank you. My report, I want to focus on the CSBA. Actually, for the 4 day, I concentrate on the CTE issue. As you know, the CTE is the same as like dual enrollment, but the big difference, dual enrollment, the school district need to hook up with a community college. But CTE is more, you have a more freedom in, the school district, they need to find, as I heard, the Orange County, they've been doing for CTE, for more CTE, and they have in the seminar, they have two ROP organization. Now, these two regional ROP organization, they help him for the several the school district in the Orange County, including the Urban, Yorba Linda, and the Orange school district. So actually, with that, give them the relaxation because ROP or organization they provide the teacher and they provide the facility and the equipment. So the school district, the position, they just encourage the student to attend. Because of this kind of structure, not affect to the student in the daytime, the learning. So then all the programs are after school. So mean all those attending the school district, they share this pool. So they just encourage the student and go out to one of organization called the University of Lab. So they come out the program. So I was a volunteer. So I raised my hand. So then later I became famous. I said, you know, the LA County, and we need to encourage the ROP, you know, they can, serve for the San Gabriel Valley School District. So then I see the board member from the El Monte and the several school districts say yes, we need to exchange the opinion, and then maybe recommend we have another ROP organization in the LA County. Yeah, so that's take me about the 3 day I attend the 3 course. Yeah, okay, that's my the attending course. Next is a communication from the student board member, Ms. Ta. Yeah.
Thank you. So over Thanksgiving break, the high school band traveled to Fresno for the WBA championship where they won second place for their division. And last Thursday, HMS had their band concert. And last Friday, HMS and the high school had their winter concert for choir. And this week on the 12th, Carver will have their fall holiday program and HMS Orchestra will have their concert. And on the 13th, Carver's 4th graders will have a field trip to Mission San Juan Capistrano, and the high school will have their winter assembly. And next week is finals week. And then on the 16th, the high school will have We Are San Marino portrait show in the Crowley, and Valentine will have their winter music performance.
Thank you. So next is for
No, it got put from the agenda. That's okay. We can move on.
so more. Okay. Okay, next one is a 12 information item. I'd like to turn it over to the Dr. Stephen Choi and Mrs. Joy Coomer from the team civics to provide the Board of Education with a information presentation on the Major R.
Thank you, President Chang, your members of the board, Student Board Member Ta, and executive team. Tonight, I will be presenting with Joy Coomer from Team Civics to provide information about Measure R and the significant role it plays in supporting our school district. Now, Measure R is one of our 2 essential parcel taxes that maintain the quality of education in our district. And it was first approved by voters in 2009. And Measure R was renewed in 2013 and 2019. It collects $403 per parcel annually with an inflation adjustment and exemptions for seniors. Measure R is set to expire in June 2025. In the 2023-24 school year, Measure R generated over $1.6 million, and it supported 11.4 full-time equivalent positions. Measure R funded 2 elementary teachers, 1.8 middle school science teachers, 3.6 high school math and science teachers, 1 high school counselor, 1 middle school media tech specialist, and 1 technology systems analyst. As you can see, Measure R directly funds positions that are essential to our students' success and our district's ability to provide a high-quality education. Without these resources, the programs and services that define our schools would be at risk. With Measure R set to expire this coming June, it's important to consider how we can sustain these critical positions. These are not just numbers. They are teachers, counselors, and staff who make a daily difference in the lives of our students. I will now turn it over to Joy, who will present what might be involved in renewing Measure R.
Thank you, Dr. Choi. Mr. Board President, Madam Vice President, members of the board, Superintendent. It's a pleasure to be with you tonight. Joy Coomer, I'm one of the partners at Team Civics. I was so privileged to be here tonight for the recognition of the passage of Measure M. We've worked so hard over the past, I want to say 4 years, really, maybe a little bit longer. And I think tonight was the culmination of the success of the passage of Measure M. So just a pleasure to be here tonight with that. As we look forward, one of the things that we had always known was coming as well was the expiration of Measure R. It does expire on June 30th, 2025, as Dr. Choi explained. It can be renewed as a no tax increase with the same term of years. So each time it has been passed and renewed, it has been done for 6-year increments, which means that at the end of those 6 years, the board can make a decision again, as we're talking about tonight, to either renew or cease it. We've heard about the critical support that it provides the district. It seems that it is very much worth renewing again. I know this comes on the back of passing Measure M, but I do believe that the lift is much easier. We have had strong community support for Measure R over the years. And tonight, I just want to go over that process. It is a little bit of a tight turnaround, but again, I think very much worth pursuing. As a reminder, parcel taxes, unlike bonds, can be renewed on any Tuesday in LA County. So that election can happen on any Tuesday, so long as the board calls for the election 88 days prior to your intended election date. The county does have some regularly scheduled elections. I spoke to one of the administrators of LA County earlier today. They do currently have an election planned in June, so we could piggyback on that, and I'll look at what that looks like, but you could call it in any Tuesday. And as a reminder, bonds can only go on regularly scheduled elections. So that's how parcel taxes are a little bit different. My presentation is pretty brief because it's really just how quickly do we have to move in order to qualify for that June 3rd election date. And you can see it's by March 7th, 2024. So what needs to be done between now and March 7th? Really, it's looking at the feasibility. As many of you may remember, we did do some surveys for the bond. It was a different animal, right? We are only asking voters to approve the same amount that they have already approved for many, many years now in the exact same terms. I don't believe you need to conduct a survey. It's certainly within your purview to explore that, but I don't think one's needed. I think it's more about a conversation with your PTAs, with your foundation, with your community, and just looking at other issues that are going on in San Marino. Continuing that awareness building. That's really that community outreach that I just talked about. And then putting together the ballot question and the resolution with the help of the district's attorney, so that the board has an opportunity to see it twice in time for us to reach that March 7th election. That likely means that it would have to come to the board in February for you to vote on. So it would be part of your regularly scheduled meetings in February in order to qualify and be ready by March 7th. All of those items in the blue arrows are all things that the district can fund as part of your regular operations. Those are normal activities that the district is allowed to do. Similar to Measure M, the independent campaign committee has to be run by a separate committee. The district cannot advocate for the passage of the measure. It can always provide information about how the funds are used, similar to how Dr. Choi explained tonight. And I think it's beneficial and important that the community understand the positions that this funds and what the loss would be if it wasn't renewed. So that pretty much is our timeline. If we were looking at our next steps, again in January, we would begin some of that public outreach. There might be a study session or just the regular board meeting where we can come back, look at an initial draft of the parcel tax resolution, send some information out about how Measure R funds have been used. The county and LA County does allow you to request a letter. So easily we could request to stay Measure R. We've had some simplicity by keeping the same letter each time. So I think, that would be something we could consider. Again, you can see in February, we would finalize that public outreach, ask the board to vote on placing the measure on the ballot. And then in March, we would transition to the independent campaign committee. There are many parents who are interested in seeing this renewed. You know, I think we have some foundation left from Measure M that could help buoy and start that foundation for Measure R. We would then likely have a ballot argument due in early March that we would work on. And then that independent campaign committee would be smaller, not the same as we've had for Measure M. If you think of past renewals of Measure R, much of that was done with the former board member Nam. Those tended to be very small campaigns, very grassroots, very parent-oriented. This election will be a much lower turnout. So targeted outreach to our families and our San Marino community will be really important. So with that, I have no more slides, but I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Can you please remind us the voting threshold to pass?
Yes, so parcel taxes require a 2/3 of voters who vote on the ballot. So it's not 2/3 of all your registered voters, it's those people who choose to vote in that particular election, 66.67%.
Thank you.
Anyone have a more question?
In the past, some of our senior members in our community get a little confused about how they can opt out. So can you just roughly explain what they need to do in terms of voting yes on it and not having to
Yeah, so all voters age 65 and older are eligible for an exemption so long as they are homeowners within the school district boundaries. If you were previously had an exemption for Measure R, we could write the resolution so that their exemption would continue. It wouldn't require them to reapply. Many districts are doing that now for simplicity and ease. If there are new members of the community who maybe weren't 65 before, but are now applying, hitting that age, the application form is available on the district website. It's very straightforward. And I believe, Dr. Choi, it just requires that they show their home ownership in the district.
Correct, an ID, so.
So very simple process.
and we'll probably have to explain it over and over again. As I know that number of times I have had to explain it at the city club and it just over and over. Yeah, so
Yeah.
thank you.
I think it's an important part of the outreach. Absolutely.
Mhm.
Oh, I have a question. So we expecting the election day will be June, right?
Correct.
So is that several years ago they changed it, for the parcel tax or the bond, they had to go through the big election. So this one, I thought after presidential election, then that's still considered is a big election.
Correct. Yeah, so bonds, Prop 39 bonds, which is what Measure M is, that 55% threshold requires in the code to be on a regularly scheduled elections. And as you rightly pointed out, that means that it would have to be either a presidential or a gubernatorial election.
So parcel tax doesn't need to.
Parcel taxes can be on any election.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we could choose to do a Tuesday in May if we wanted to. We could choose any election we wanted. Currently, the City of Industry has a optional election date for June 3rd, is how the county has explained it. So June 3rd is one that the county is currently holding as an option for an election, but we can choose any Tuesday. It's just wise to go with something the county already has scheduled. It means less work for them. And sometimes it also means a little bit lower cost for you.
That's what I was gonna ask,
Yeah.
if there is a cost advantage to just going with the scheduled.
Usually there is, especially if there's something else. The county did let me know today that the city of industry may decide not to move forward with their election. They have that option. So it would mean that you would be the only thing, but they are planning an election already. So that could be to your benefit. And if the city moves forward with their planned election, then it would help lower the costs.
Okay, is anyone have more question? Oh, yeah.
So I'm just wondering that if do you have a case that somebody tried to vote and they usually not interested in the measure? Do you see the risk that they're gonna say no rather than yes? If that's the case, then maybe we might be better off to have a separate schedule, or do you have any study, anything like that, or?
Oh, yeah, so there would be nothing within the San Marino Unified. This would be the only thing on the ballot
Okay.
in your area. The other
see.
election being held would be in the City of Industry.
Mhm.
Two separate jurisdictions, but LA County administers both of those elections.
Okay,
So the voters in San Marino would only see Measure R on the ballot. We've always had great success
Mhm.
being the only measure on the ballot for these parcel taxes, mostly because our parents are very passionate about the parcel taxes and supporting them. And we've had success keeping everything the same. Where there has been struggle with parcel taxes, it's where something has been changed and people are unfamiliar with that change. We're not recommending any changes. Do the same thing that the district has always done so that voters know that this is the same thing you've always done. We're not going to increase the tax rate. We're not going to change the term of years. We're merely asking people to renew what they've already been paying.
I got it.
So very simple, very straightforward.
Any more question? If not, thank you for Joy. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone. And again, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
So I'm sure we'll be speaking again soon.
Okay, next I would like to turn it over to Superintendent Dr. Directory and the Chief Business Officer Dr. Choi to present a Major M bond update.
Thank you, President Chang. I will go ahead and take you through just a brief update on our Measure M, which is our facilities bond update. We've had several inquiries as of late, and so we want to make sure that the Board of Education is advised as to what our most recent developments have been. So as you are aware, on November 5th, we passed a $200 million facilities bond measure at 71% of the voters being in favor, which is really remarkable. And we've said that over and over again because we are so incredibly proud of us being able to pass the bond with that margin. So our commitment to the Board of Education in putting this bond together is securing the most qualified bond program partners that exist in the industry. We are also going to be providing a very high level of bond oversight and communication directly to the Board of Education and also to the community. We have said that before, and I will continue to say that. And I really want everyone to know that that is really important. My team is committed to making sure that there's ongoing communication, not just with the Bond Oversight Committee, but with the community at large, with our voters, so that they are aware of the progress that we have made and that we will continue to make. And they never have to guess or wonder where we are in the process or what we're doing. So we also are very dedicated to hiring a highly qualified and top-rated bond program financing team. So as the board is aware, we will be hiring a separate finance team to work here at the district office because we're going to keep the books completely separate from the school district's books. I was going to say next slide, but I have the remote. And so is it possible, Kwok, for you to make this any larger? Is it on your computer? Sorry, I
Mhm.
just can't see that far. So I wanted to remind the board that developing the oversight committee is one of the first tasks that we have in front of us at the moment. One member of this committee has to be active in a business organization. One member has to be active in a senior citizens organization. One member has to be active in a bona fide taxpayers organization. And I did happen upon a list of those today, which I'm not sure whether we have that going out to potential candidates or not. But people keep asking me, like, what does that mean, a bona fide taxpayer organization? And what comes to mind is the Jarvis,
Yes.
taxpayer organization. But there's a whole host of them
That's
in
correct.
California that you can join. And so we may want to put that up on our website as a resource. I found that to be very interesting today when I was looking at that. One member has to be the parent or guardian of a child who is enrolled in our schools. One member we want to be and must be both a parent or guardian of a child enrolled in the schools and also active in our PTA organizations. And then the remaining two members are at-large community positions. So it is required by statute that this community be comprised of at least 7 individuals. So that's what we're looking at. And we did share with the Board of Education a timeline on when we're going to be sending that application out. We did get some feedback on that application from the board. So thank you for that. And it will go out over the winter break. So we'll be reviewing those applications when they come in January. So the responsibilities of the oversight committee are often misunderstood. And I just want to make sure that we're very clear as to what those responsibilities are. And here is a list of 5 that I was able to find embedded in the statute. And number 1 is determine whether a district is spending the bond monies for construction, reconstruction, rehabilitation, or replacement of school facilities, including the furnishing and equipping of school facilities, or the acquisition or lease of real property for school facilities. Advise the public as to whether a district is spending the bond monies for the purposes specified above and not for any other purposes, including teacher and administrator salaries and other school operating expenses. So basically, the oversight committee is reviewing the expenditures that the district is making related to all of the bond projects. They are allowed to receive and review copies of an independent performance audit. So we will be hiring an independent audit firm that will be producing an audit report annually to ensure that all the funds have been expended appropriately. And this will have to tie back to the original resolution that the Board of Education approved before the November 5th election, indicating what the board would be spending the bond revenues on specifically. So basically, in short, and you can see the summary there, the California Education Code requires that the Oversight Committee review and report out to the community at least annually. They can do that more often if desired, but they have to do it at least once a year. So I wanted to give you, I think we need to, yeah, thank you, a little bit of a timeline just to kind of give you a sense of what we're doing. And we are not, by the way, moving slowly. This is sort of the timeline. And then you have to factor in that we have winter break coming up, which kind of delays us making any progress. But we are right where we need to be in terms of the timeline. So for January, the district is going to, when I say the district, I mean Dr. Choi, is going to issue RFQs to secure a bond program manager, financial consultant, and independent auditor. These individuals and firms are going to provide the expertise and oversight necessary to make sure that our bond project is effectively managed. So that's kind of a step 1 for us. February, the Board of Education will officially seat the Bond Oversight Committee. And once the bond program manager is secured, the district, meaning Dr. Choi and I, are going to present the Board of Education with a list of prioritized project recommendations. And these recommendations are really going to be based on the Facility Advisory Committee's recommendations, along with statutory requirements and program requirements, in addition to the current condition of our schools. I've said this before, and I will say it again. The Board of Education needs to retain the right to make decisions on bond priorities based on what is in front of the Board of Education at the time. As an example, when Carver's HVAC system goes down, and we need $500,000 to replace it. The Board of Education needs to be able to make the decision to prioritize that type of project before, modernizing CTE classrooms. Having said that, I really do believe that we have a good sense of what the Facilities Advisory Committee prioritized in addition to what the district believes the priority should be. So we will be presenting that in a board meeting to the Board of Education in February. The Board of Education will also likely have more detailed information prior to that meeting in the weekly board memos that you will be receiving. So in the far right-hand column up on the screen, you see January, February, and March. This work is going to be done over the course of the first quarter of the calendar year. So we're going to be hiring architects to develop plans to be submitted to DSA for approval. The reason this is so important is because we need to get in line for Prop 2 money. And the Prop 2 matching money can only be applied for once you have approved plans. And we need to start with that. And the board's going to need those plans anyway. So as you are aware, we have a pre-approved list of architects, contractors, subcontractors. We have a pre-approved list that is very robust. However, we may need people who are not currently on that list to do specialized projects. And if we do, we will be going out for RFQ or RFP. So we're going to hire also bond accounting staff, as I mentioned earlier, and all construction related contractors. We're going to develop and present a more specific timeline for projects once we have that bond project manager on board. Okay, next slide. Oh, I've got the remote. And this organizational chart, if you can make it a little bit bigger, I think it's really impactful, and that the Board of Education needs to be aware of all the different players that are going to be involved that don't currently work with the district, that will be under the direction of the chief business official. So we're going to go out for RFQ, as mentioned, for the bond program manager, who will help us oversee all of our projects going forward. We have the Citizen Bond Oversight Committee that really looks at how we spend our money. That's the scope of their work. They don't get involved in any prioritization decisions. They don't get involved in deciding what those projects are going to look like. That is within the sole responsibility of the Board of Education. We will also need a financial reporting consultant, and we're going to be going out for RFQ on that as well. And I mentioned the independent auditor, who will render a comprehensive report annually. We're going to need to look at our pre-approved list of architects. We will likely interview for the type of project that we're going to be working on. It is possible that the district will use more than just one architect throughout the life of the bond, depending on the project that we're working on. Construction manager is likely going to be an employee who will be hired to be here every day on site and managing the various construction projects that are taking place. And then we need a bond budget and financing person. We are likely going to need an accounts payable person. We'll need someone in purchasing to be able to address the contracts that are going to be coming in. And all of that is very regulated, and we will have to be following the various statutes and regulations on that. Construction contractors, we will work with, I'm sure, a variety of them, service providers, and then the contractors may be working with subcontractors. So that is one organizational chart. Let's go to the next one. Oh, I'm sorry, here I go again. And here is another organizational chart that I would like the board just to be aware of under the direction of the CBO. We will have a bond and disclosure council. So that's really the bond attorney that will be working with the district to make sure that we're following all the laws appropriately. We will need a financial advisor or fiduciary. Currently, Keygent is providing that service, and an underwriter and a paying agent through Los Angeles County, a rating agency, and we already work with many of these companies currently. The rating agency tells us what our credit rating is, which helps us with the bonds. And then I don't think that in San Marino, we're going to need a credit enhancer where you can buy insurance to boost your credit rating, but we don't really need that because I think we're very highly rated already. So we'll be talking with our financial advisor about that. So you can see that there are lots of things that we need to do to position ourselves to actually break ground and begin the work of the facilities master plan that the board adopted and has in place. So it's really exciting, but there's a lot of moving parts. And Dr. Choi and I are working very closely together to make sure that we're not missing anything important, that we're doing things the right way. And so we're really excited about what's to come, but we're going to be bringing back more information in our January board meeting. And we will be making recommendations to the Board of Education on the composition of the oversight committee, and we will be accepting those applications over the winter break. So those applications can be shared with the board. We would like for the board to give us direction on working with 2 board members as a subcommittee that would be going through those applications if we get a lot of them, which we may, so that we don't have to, have all the board members, separately looking at 100 applications. So if you wanted to tell us tonight who those 2 board members might be that would have the time to come in and screen those, that would be very helpful.
Anyone have a comment on?
I just want clarification on all the extra people that are being hired for Measure M. Is that coming out of the Measure M bond?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and that is standard. Every district that has passed a bond has to have those same partners and employees in order to be able to process their bond and make things work. So that is not out of the ordinary at all.
Thank you.
So the portable that we have in between the accounting department and the special education department used to be used by the construction people. We call it the construction trailer. We should call it the construction suite. That sounds better. That's where some of those people will be working and housed.
So the bond manager, they are full-time or per diem or they are consultant basis?
So if I go back here and I show you, can you make that a little bigger? Thank you. See the bond program manager that's under the CBO, directly under the CBO? That person can be part-time and is going to be looking globally at everything. So that person can be on a consultant contract advising the district. The construction manager below that is going to be an employee full-time here.
Employee full-time. Okay.
And that person will be needed when we actually have projects going on at the district. Remember Gerald? Gerald was like the construction manager position.
Would we be able to utilize and like reclassify, I guess, some of our purchasing people so we wouldn't have to like go out and hire a whole new thing and still keep it separate? But
that's a great question, but I don't, it's going to depend on the volume of work that's coming in. We have only one person in purchasing that actually does the work, which is unusual. We're very lean at the district office. So it's not.
What about like accounts payable?
Yeah, our accounts payable person, full-time already and working to capacity. There's just no way that we would be able to do that. That's a great question, and something we would definitely look at, but no. No, that's just not feasible. Because the way it would work is you'd have to have them like part-time for the bond and then part-time for the district. And we can't sacrifice half of that person's day or half of that person's week for the bond at this point. We just have too much volume as it is going through accounting. But we will, make sure we're gonna take a look at our current structure and see what we can do from within. But a lot of this is probably gonna have to be paid for and supported by the bond.
I just want us to be mindful of the fact that we need to minimize interruption to instruction and to the business of running a school district. While it'd be really nice to, have our accounts payable or our staff do other things, that's really not their job, right? I mean, you can have them do little things. We really need to have our cabinet, our staff working on those things and making sure that the facilities plan doesn't interrupt with the educational plan, because we have to be very strategic, which month are we going to have all this construction, the noise? And then remember in the last, building phase, just alone, just all the trucks moving in and which driveway and
Yeah.
what noise and what time in the day and how we were getting the portables in and where were the kids going to have lunch and recess. All of that has to be looked
Yes.
at. And so we can't negate our priorities are our kids and, the
agree.
instruction and all the things that can't be interrupted, right? Because can't just dump, 6 trailers and 4 trucks in the driveway. And then your kids are like, well, where's Little League or where's our, so we have to be kind of mindful of that. But I know you guys know all that. I'm just
No, it's
saying.
it's a good
let's-
reminder.
Yeah,
I'm
when we-
grateful for that. And also, I remember from the last time we had construction, I mean, even as recent as the Barth Athletics Complex, how important it is that we engage our principals and our instructional leaders in the conversation about how is this project going to affect our students and making sure that there's minimal interruption to the education that's taking place at each school. And I think you described it beautifully. There's lots of moving parts and, big trucks coming in and out. There's noise, there's dust, there's all kinds of things that we have to be mindful of to make sure that education continues to be our priority. And we are going to make sure that we have all the voices in the room weighing in on what will make that the least detrimental impact for our students. And so we plan to have those meetings and those conversations. And we'll make sure that the construction partners that we engage also understand that that's going to continue to be our priority. So thank you very much for bringing that up.
Anyone else?
Just curious, is the contract is more like a legal form? Like a
The
law?
contracts,
Yeah,
it's very legalistic, but we'll have contracts with all the contractors that come onto our.
No,
site.
I mean, is that the position, the contracts underneath the manager?
Oh, it's not the position
Oh, okay,
title.
okay.
It's just somebody who's going to be overseeing the contracts. I mean, you could say that that's purchasing.
Okay.
But we
okay.
have to we haven't decided on the title yet. It's just the person that's going to oversee the contracts.
Okay, I got it.
Yeah. But you have change orders, which we don't want a lot of, right? You have purchase orders, requisitions. There's a lot that needs to go through those positions in accounting, which will all be overseen by our chief business official. Dr. Choi will be, appropriately so, the main person who's overseeing this entire process. Dr. Richter is going to continue to focus on instructional leadership and making sure that we're taking care of education in San Marino. We're not going to lose our focus there. And I know that Dr. Rose down there is gonna, support everyone in, the ways that he supports us through hiring the right people, making sure that he's helping us with hiring the right people for the bond as well. So we will all have a part in this, and I will just make sure that everything is running the way it should be running. But Dr. Choi is gonna have the most hands-on and oversight with respect to this.
Okay, if there's no more meeting and a question, we are going to 13 action item.
No questions.
Oh, you haven't?
No.
You finished?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're finished? Okay.
Okay, next I like to turn it over to Dr. Stephen Choi to present the resolution number 8 for the board approval.
Okay, thank you, President Chang. Members of the board, Student Board Member Ta, and executive team. I am aware that I am presenting next 6 of 7 action items, but the first being a resolution number 8. It's a resolution to officially enter the election results of the November 5th, 2024 general obligation bond election into the minutes and certify all proceedings to the Board of Supervisors of LA County. This resolution formally acknowledges the successful passage of Measure M, which received well over the required 55% voter approval for the issuance of $200 million in bonds to support our district. Resolution 8 also certifies that all procedures related to the election were conducted in accordance with the law. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve Resolution 8 as presented.
To approve? Second?
Okay, roll call, Mr. Song,
Aye.
Mrs. Ryan,
Aye.
Mrs. Lam,
Aye.
Mrs. Gill, Mr. Chen, aye, and Stephen Bo. Motion carry. Next, I'd like to turn it back over to Dr. Choi to present the resolution number 9 for approval.
Thank you, President Chang. Item 13B is another action item in which I am seeking for the board's approval tonight. Resolution number 9 signifies the board's intent to establish a Citizens Oversight Committee for Measure M, as required by Proposition 39 and state law. The committee will play a vital role in ensuring transparency and accountability by actively reviewing and reporting on the expenditure of bond proceeds. It will also oversee compliance with all legal requirements, ensuring that funds are used solely for the purposes outlined in Measure M. The resolution further authorizes the superintendent or designee to begin the recruitment process for committee members, following specific qualifications and guidelines. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve Resolution number 9 to formally begin this process.
So moved?
Second.
Who second? Okay, Francesca, okay. Roll call, Mr. Song,
Aye.
Mrs. Ryan,
Aye.
Mrs. Lam, Mrs. Gill,
Aye.
Mr. Chen, aye, Stephen Bo. Okay, motion carry. Oh, by the way, Ms. Ta, I know you probably have a heavy homework. If you like to excuse, definitely.
Thank you. See the big smile on her face?
Calculus test tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
good luck.
Good luck with that.
Mr. Chang, I also have a test tomorrow.
You have a test?
So,
What,
yeah,
what test you have?
yes, bigger than big, yeah, just big tests.
Okay, I accelerate. Oh, what? Okay, I like to turn it over to the Dr. Jason Rose to present a second reading of a board policy 1312.5 for approval.
All right, thank you, President Chang, Board of Education, Superintendent Dr. Delatorre, and Executive Cabinet. Tonight, I present to you a second reading of Board Policy 1312.5, which encompasses discrimination complaints as well as Title IX complaints. Once again, this is not a new board policy, rather this is just an updated version of our current policy to include current staff. Currently, our board policy 1312.5 lists Dr. Delatorre from her time as the Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources as a coordinator designated by the board to facilitate any discrimination complaints submitted. The proposed updated policy lists both Dr. Richter and myself as the coordinators designated by the board. Dr. Richter would coordinate any discrimination complaints regarding students, and I would coordinate any discrimination complaints regarding employees. Other than that change, the remaining text of the policy remains the same. It is recommended that the board approve and authorize the proposed updated board policy 1312.5.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, roll call, Mr. Song,
Aye.
Mrs. Lam,
Aye.
Mrs. Ryan,
Aye.
and Mrs. Gill, Mr. Chen. I motion carry. Okay, next, turning back over to Dr. Stephen Choi for recommendation of a interfund transfer request.
Thank you, President Chang. Good evening again, members of the board. Item 13D is a procedural action item. Tonight, I'm recommending an interfund transfer of $1 million from Fund 1 to General Fund to Fund 14, the Deferred Maintenance Fund. This transfer will ensure that adequate resources are available to address critical deferred maintenance projects across the district, supporting the upkeep and functionality of our facilities. The transfer aligns with our financial priorities and long-term planning efforts. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve this interfund transfer.
Move to approve.
Any
Second.
second?
Second.
Okay, roll call. Mr. Song,
Aye.
Mrs. Lam, Mrs. Ryan,
Aye.
and Mrs. Gill.
Aye.
Mr. Chen, I motion carry. Then turning back over to Dr. Stephen Choi for recommendation of interfund transfer request.
Thank you. Item 13E is another procedural action item for an interfund transfer of $8,210 from General Fund to Fund 17, the Health and Welfare Reserve Fund. This transfer is necessary to support our ongoing commitment to maintaining a prudent reserve for health and welfare obligations. It reflects our dedication to fiscal responsibility and ensuring resources are available for future needs. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve this interfund transfer.
Move to approve.
Second.
Roll call, Mr. Song,
Aye.
Mrs. Lam,
Aye.
Mrs. Ryan,
Aye.
Mrs. Gill.
Aye.
Mr. Chen, I motion carry. Dr. Stephen Choi will represent the first interim financial report and a long-range financial projection to the Board of Education for approval, please.
Okay, thank you, President Chang, members of the board, and Executive Cabinet. So item 13F is the first interim financial report and long-range financial projection, which is a routine action item that school districts must submit to the county office by December 15 each year. This report not only meets state compliance requirements, but also provides a critical foundation for ensuring our district's financial sustainability and ability to continue delivering high-quality education. While the first interim report includes a detailed SACS report and also an executive summary narrative, this presentation will highlight most of the important information from the report. State law requires school districts to report their fiscal conditions and budget projections 2 times a year, once on October 31st and again on January 31st. The Board of Education then certifies whether the district can meet its financial obligations for the current and next 2 fiscal years. The 2 interim reporting periods, also shown here in the context of the 24-25 budget cycle, the board adopted our 24-25 budget on June 13th, and tonight the first interim provides a snapshot of our revenues and expenditures through October 31st. Staff will provide another snapshot on March 11th that reflects revenues and expenditures through January 31st. And finally, on September 9th, the board will take another look at the unaudited actuals as we close out the fiscal year. And there are 3 types of certifications possible for interim reports. On behalf of the SMUSD Accounting Department, led by our Director of Accounting, Ms. Vanji Lingat, the district reports our 24-25 first interim to be a positive certification. And this means the district can meet its financial obligations for the current and 2 subsequent years. Our revenue assumptions are based on an increase in enrollment, which translates to a projected increase in average daily attendance, or ADA. And when compared to the same time last year, we see an enrollment increase of 157 students. The cost of living adjustment, or COLA, for 24-25 is 1.07%, and it is projected to rise to 2.93% for 25-26 and 3.08% for 26-27.
This slide highlights the key revenue assumptions comparing the two most recent first interims. And as you can see, while there are some decreases in revenues, some of which are due to one-time COVID funds phasing out, a huge positive factor that is contributing to our revenues is that our enrollment continues to increase, which increases our ADA and the local control funding formula, or LCFF funding. Here's another way to look at our general fund revenues. As shown on this slide, LCFF represents the largest piece of the pie at 64%, which consists of property taxes and LCFF state aid. However, it is important to point out that about a quarter of our revenues come from local sources, which include parcel taxes, foundation, PTAs, and local SELPA transfers, which provide support to our students with disabilities. While federal funding remains limited at just 4% of our budget, the substantial contributions from local sources underscore the importance of community partnerships. The first interim expenditure assumptions take into account additional staff hired since the budget was adopted in June and reflect recently settled CSCA salary increases, certificated and classified step and column placements, and pension contributions. Our contributions to PERS are projected to rise upwards to 27.5% in 26-27. The cost of supplies, services, and utilities are anticipated to increase as well, and special education continues to be an underfunded mandate. Key expenditures are summarized in this table, and when compared to last year, we see decreases in books and supplies and operating expenditures, and these are due primarily to certain one-time funds and grants being exhausted. Visually, about 3/4 or 74% of our expenditures go towards people. Based on our assumptions, we are projecting an ending balance of $21.9 million. While we will continue to deficit spend in 24-25, the projected COLAs and the assumptions highlighted tonight result in a healthy multi-year projection for 25-26 and 26-27. At the state level, the Legislative Analyst Office reported that state budget adjustments have positioned 25-26 to remain roughly balanced, despite lingering economic uncertainties. Staff will monitor developments closely following the governor's upcoming budget release in January. In fact, this year, Dr. Delatorre and I will be attending a special meeting on January 10th in Sacramento to be with School Services of California CEO John Gray, where it's part of my participation in the FICMAC coaching and induction program to get the latest information about our state budget. The comforting thing to know here is, as we look at the ending balances, is that the Board of Education took really wise steps to commit reserves in recent years to help weather tough financial times. The staff will continue to work diligently to ensure the district is fiscally solvent.
Can you temporary stop?
Yes.
For this one, can you explain the school side carry over 6 million? So how they carry over?
So those are amounts that are carried over from previous years at the school sites.
So even from the 4th school or
from all 4 schools, that's district-wide summary of school carryover.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So in closing, I'm pleased to report that SMUSD remains on solid financial footing. We will continue to ensure that every dollar serves our students and community effectively. I want to again thank our accounting team led by Vangelinga for their diligence in preparing this report. Based on the analysis presented, SMUSD is projected to meet its financial obligations for the current and subsequent 2 fiscal years, affirming our positive certification. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the 2024-25 first interim report and submit to the county a positive certification.
Anyone have a question?
I have a question.
Okay.
On slide 9, the expenditure assumptions.
Yes.
I just wondering how books and supplies as well as operating expenditures has gone down both.
A significant portion in previous years for books and supplies and operating expenditures have been primarily funded by one-time funds. So as we see some of those funds exhaust, we do also see a decrease in those expenditures.
Thank you.
Any more question? If not, I have a motion to approve the first interim financial report and a long-range financial projection.
I move to approve.
Any second?
Second.
Roll call, Mr. Song,
Aye.
Mrs. Lam, Mrs. Wright,
Aye.
Mrs. Gill.
Aye.
Mr. Chen, aye. Motion carry. Next, Dr. Stephen Choi will present the CARO's designation of applicant agent resolution for non-state agency for approval.
Thank you, President Chang. Action item 13G is the last action item for tonight and is a standard requirement for school districts seeking to access federal assistance through the California Governor's Office of Emergency Services. This resolution, renewed every 3 years, designates authorized representatives who can act on behalf of the district in matters related to current or future grant programs. By adopting this resolution, the district ensures compliance with federal and state guidelines, facilitating its ability to secure vital funding for disaster recovery, preparedness, and other emergency-related initiatives. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the Cal OES designation of applicants agent resolution for non-state agencies as presented.
So moved.
Any second?
Second.
Roll call, Mr. Song,
Aye.
Mrs. Lam, Mrs. Ryan,
Aye.
Mrs. Gill,
Aye.
Mr. Chen, aye. Motion carry. Next, board superintendent discussion item, before we present the item, first of all, I like to appreciate, you know, all the board member, I think we are work together, since we already approved, the community approved the bond. I think this is the big task. So we need to get together and make sure you know the give the executive staff team supervision and oversee, and then I think this is very important because I think I'm the only one experienced for the last two the bond. For the first one, that time I have a kind of sad, so I need to make up for the second one. So to me, the bond, I feel very serious. So I feel you know the board dedicated to the superintendent. I hope this team can have a very the deep consideration to draw the plan and work with our the chair and so the facility chair. I think this is very important. Yeah, since the 71% approval rate, you know, we need to you know respond to our voter. So in the beginning, the first day I serve as a board president, I want to emphasize, you know, the board member and work with the executive. We need to present the best plan and to show the community. So this is my new year. Wish.
So along those lines, I'm still waiting for 2 board members to volunteer to look at the applications for the oversight committee.
I'll do it.
Thank you.
I think I am the board president. Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Of course. Anything for you?
So now it's a 13 for superintendent. Do you have anything?
No, that was all mine was, I need the 2 board members. Yeah, thank you so much.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think with that, I can put the hammer meeting adjourned. Thank you. Yes. 9:16. Okay.
Good job. And I get paid in